Hi, everybody. My name is Luke Nestler. I'm a professional development consultant working with the Oxford University Press. Today, I'd like to share some ideas with you to maybe add a new dimension to how you approach your vocabulary work with secondary students. Now, we all want to be sure that we're using our class time effectively, and I feel that often this means we don't pay enough attention to something like vocabulary. So today we're going to look at an idea that allows us to still concentrate enough on vocabulary without sacrificing that valuable lesson time. And it's called flipped teaching. A lot of the time, we have such a strong focus on tasks during lessons that things like vocabulary just get pushed to one side, which means that our learners are left to do them as a follow-up, normally as homework by themselves. And this means that they lack the support you can give them as teacher, and also the support of their peers and classmates. So flipped teaching can almost be thought of as setting your students' homework before the lesson begins. And by giving them access to content beforehand and designing ways to help them engage meaningfully with it on their own, students can become active, independent learners, allowing you, the teacher, to concentrate more on developing your facilitator role. So, in the flipped classroom, students are able to access content in their own time, at their own pace. They can review it as many times as necessary before they come to class, at which point they'll be armed with their own questions and ready to put this new learning into practice with the help of you and their peers. Now, with vocabulary, obviously the most important thing is remembering words. And to be able to remember a word effectively, we need to be able to use a combination of lower and higher order thinking skills. Now, the more that you think about something, the more likely you are to remember it. And by using a mixture of techniques in today's example, we're going to be increasing the chances of students remembering words by having them perform activities before the lesson, meaning that when they come up during the lesson, we don't need to spend any time on meaning. We can concentrate on more productive or communicative tasks. So here is a word bank for an imaginary intermediate lesson that I came up with. One thing that I always like to get students to do first is to categorize the list into three groups: words they already know, words they think they know or could at least guess at, and then the ones that they definitely don't know. We're going back to this idea of making our students active learners by self-evaluating and doing some independent research rather than just putting their hand up during the class lesson time and allowing the teacher to simply give them answers. What you can do with this is pair your students up and let them communicate outside of lesson time. And this could be by email, social media, even picking up the phone. Tell them to write clues to send to their partners. One I like to do is simply called just three words. So for an example, I might give the three words red, yellow, green. And my friend might look at the list and say, it's traffic light. Okay, so we're using lower order thinking to understand and explain the words. And then it's more moving on to the middle order thinking when we respond, because we're examining the words and identifying them from the other person's clues. Okay, we can give students the categories and ask them to place the words where they think they fit. So here we're bringing in a little bit of CLIL, giving them a Venn diagram, and using that existing list, they might think, okay, so these three words are related to the hospital, and these three words are related to the car. But these three words, I could imagine them in both scenarios. What we can do to differentiate our class a little is we could ask students to create their own categories for more advanced or an easier word list if we have that. And with critical thinking, we're asking them here to categorize, to evaluate, and to justify. Now, the last two ideas I have for you today are one where we're asking students to analyze the words and make predictions about next lesson's content, And then the final one is where we unleash their creativity, asking them to use all of the words together to come up with an interesting story of their own. Um, Now, you could read my example if you want by pausing, but I'm going to move on. Uh, Now let's look where we are now. Even before the lesson has begun, the introductory work has been done. Students have already used the vocabulary in many interesting ways. Now our lesson time can be used to look at some of their better ideas or addressing any problems that they might have come to you with. What happens now? Students can confidently begin any activities and they are motivated. Now, one thing it's important to note at this point is you will need to come up with a system to monitor that this work is being done. As with all new things, it might take some time initially before everybody is completely comfortable with it. But I am very confident that eventually you're going to feel the benefits in the classroom and everyone will enthusiastically be embracing this new system. And I think that everyone will benefit, including your students. Okay, so that's everything for today. If you would like to see similar content, more similar content, please feel free to hit the link. It's been really fun talking to you. Bye-bye.